What's up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, bringing you another update. This time we're going to be going over the rule set for CWL Las Vegas, which is December 7th through the 9th, the Hard Rock Casino. So to start, we are going to be looking at the maps and game modes. So one of the changes this year is that we got rid of CTF, or whatever other objective-based game mode, in place of a new game mode called Control. Essentially, Control is just S&D with 25 lives instead of just a single respawn per round. So basically, the rules are either you capture both hills, you run out of time, or you get 25 eliminations on the other team. So objective-based game mode similar to Search and Destroy, but the only difference is that there's respawns and it added an objective a la Hardpoint. So it basically bridges the gap between S&D and Hardpoint. I think it's a pretty interesting concept, and the pros have been scrimming it, and it looks pretty fun from what I've seen. The next game mode, obviously Hardpoint, bread and butter really of the best teams in Call of Duty over the last few years, and then of course S&D, staple of competitive Call of Duty since the beginning. And S&D hasn't really changed much. The rule set's pretty much the same as before. So 6 rounds to win. 5 players on each side, clearly, same as before, either winning the round by the bomb detonating, or timeout, or obviously eliminating everyone. And then, so the maps for Control are going to be Arsenal, Frequency, Gridlock, and Seaside. So, pretty small map pool. I mean, that's just how it is in competitive. We always have very small map pools. So, don't expect for there to be a lot of variation in the map sets. Teams that are good at certain maps are going to obviously pick and ban the maps they're best at and get rid of the maps that they're not good at. And of course, all the rules for Search and Destroy are the same. So, minute and a half, switch sides. One team plays defense, the other team plays offense on the other side, planting the bomb. Defensive team, of course, doesn't want the offensive team to plant the bomb. They want to wipe before the offensive team is either able to plant the bomb, or they want to wipe the team after they plant the bomb and defuse it before it goes off in 45 seconds. So on to Hardpoint, our next game mode. The win conditions for Hardpoint are first team to 250 points, or clock running out, which happens sometimes, but it's a little bit rare in the competitive scene. If the clock runs out, then it just goes to whichever team was leading when the clock ran out. And I've already explained Control. So the maps for S&D are Arsenal, Frequency, Gridlock, Hacienda, and Payload. So small set for S&D as well. Like I said before, pretty much all the competitive game modes have very small map pools, usually about 4 to 5 maps per game mode. And for Hardpoint, the maps are Arsenal, Frequency, Gridlock, Hacienda, and Seaside. So none of the specialists are restricted anymore. Of course, there was a restriction on Nomad before, but that has since been lifted by the CWL team. Onto the equipment. So equipment that has been banned, tac deploy, sensor dart. That's it. Tac deploy is basically just a respawn beacon, so it just allows your team to respawn around a certain point. Pretty clear why that would be disadvantageous in competitive. Because obviously you can't influence the spawns in competitive, or else it just eliminates competition, makes it unfair. And then sensor dart obviously being removed because you can't track people, and you shouldn't be able to track people in competitive, or else it decreases the competitiveness of just the esport. So these are pretty obvious bans on the parts of the CWL team and as well as the players. And as far as weapons go, the only weapons that have been restricted are the Titan, the Hades, the VKM 750, the MOG 12, and the SG 12. Not really surprising. Shotguns and rocket launchers always get banned. So usually the shotguns that are more popular in public matches are banned from competitive anyways, because it just adds a very random element to the game that no one is really trying to introduce. So those have been taken out. Now we're going to go on to the attachments. So the attachments that have been banned are high caliber, high explosive, laser sight 2, max load, rapid fire, rocket cache, and steady grip. And the optics are just fast lock. So pretty standard, what you'd expect. I mean, high caliber, high explosive. Really, any of these attachments would give you an unfair advantage in the competitive world. So it makes sense for them to take it up. Fast lock as well, just makes sense. I mean, they really just got rid of all of the attachments that are there to help public players who don't play that often. So it makes sense. And the perks that they've gotten rid of are Gung Ho, Skulker, Team Link, Tracker. They got rid of the wild cards Overkill, Primary Operator mod, and Secondary Operator mod. I mean, this makes sense because getting rid of Overkill allows you to have 2 primary weapons, and that's just not fair. So that makes a lot of sense. In terms of the score streaks, they got rid of UAV, Care Package, Counter UAV, Sentry, and Mantis. I mean, this is pretty standard. These types of streaks have always been banned in competitive Call of Duty, so I wouldn't have expected them to allow them through this year. And the acoustic sensor has been banned as well. As far as the bans go this year, there's nothing that really stands out as being new or different. Pretty much the same bans as we've had every year. So there haven't been many real changes to the landscape of the CWL this year, apart from obviously switching to 5v5 and increasing the prize pool to $6 million. But apart from that, things are pretty much the same. Gentlemen's agreements will obviously be honored by the professional players at their discretion. But for the most part, these rules are pretty standard as we've seen over the last few years in COD. So with that in mind, I mean, I would expect Vegas to be a pretty good event. Just as long as they get rid of the visual glitches like the vision pulse and the name glitch that's been popping up recently, CWL Vegas will be just like any other Call of Duty event. Things will go swimmingly, and we can expect our usual suspects to place well unless something crazy happens. So yeah, that's really it. The next video we'll be going over the pools, talking about where teams are coming from, who we think is going to win, etc. So yeah, once again, this has been Chris from Fake Sports News. Like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy your day. Peace.